I played 10 open-world games, but to understand how different worlds try to make you feel something. Some worlds want you to feel powerful, others want you to feel small. Some are loud, chaotic, alive. Others are quiet, empty, almost uncomfortable. Open worlds are not just about size anymore. They're about atmosphere, about how long you stay, about what you remember when you stop playing. These are not reviews. These are impressions, moments, silences between objectives. This is what I felt playing 10 open-world games. Don't forget to like, comment, and follow me so you don't miss any videos. Let's get started. Ghost of Tsushima, and quickly realize this world doesn't rush you. The wind replaces the minimap. Nature becomes your guide. Riding through open fields feels calm, almost meditative. Combat is sharp and elegant, but the moments between fights are what define the experience. This world respects silence. It lets landscapes speak louder than dialogue. You're not constantly distracted, you're invited to observe. Ghost of Tsushima feels less like an open world full of tasks, and more like a journey shaped by atmosphere, honor, and restraint. Is a third-person action-adventure video game that blends intense sword combat, stealth, and exploration in an open world inspired by feudal Japan. The player takes on the role of Jin Sakai, a samurai who must adapt to new ways of fighting to protect the island of Tsushima during the Mongol invasion. The gameplay offers freedom to approach objectives in a variety of ways. Direct combat centers on the use of the katana, with duels and confrontations against multiple enemies at once. To make battles more strategic, Jin learns different combat stances, each effective against a specific type of enemy, such as swordsmen, spearmen, shielded enemies, or heavier warriors. These stances encourage the player to observe the battlefield and change their fighting style according to the situation. In addition, the combat system values timing attacks, perfect defenses, and breaking the enemy's guard before causing real damage. As the story progresses, Jin adopts the ghost style, a more intimidating and less honorable approach focused on instilling fear in enemies. This unlocks special abilities and an extremely powerful temporary stance, which allows you to defeat enemies quickly after meeting certain requirements in combat. The game also features memorable boss fights, which require total attention to attack patterns and precision in movement, especially at higher difficulty levels, where a few hits can decide the outcome of the fight. In addition to direct combat, stealth plays a key role. Jin can silently eliminate enemies, use chain assassinations, and resort to a varied set of tools known as phantom weapons. These include items for distraction, bombs that confuse opponents, throwable weapons for quick attacks, and even resources that cause psychological effects on enemies. There are also long-range weapons, such as bows with different types of arrows, and a blowgun capable of poisoning or causing hallucinations. All of these actions consume or generate a resource called resolve, used for healing and special techniques, encouraging a careful and efficient play style. The open world of Ghost of Tsushima is vast and designed for exploration. The island of Tsushima is divided into regions that are gradually unlocked as the campaign progresses, each with distinct landscapes, challenges, and threats. Navigation is mainly done on horseback, and the game avoids excessive interfaces, using the wind as a natural guide to indicate the path to objectives. During exploration, elements of the environment help the player find secondary activities, such as animals and visual cues, that lead to points of interest. These points include locations that improve Jin's attributes, such as hot springs, skill challenges, shrines, and meditation areas. By completing these activities, the player receives permanent bonuses, amulets, and upgrades that directly influence the playstyle. Shrines offer passive advantages, such as increased resistance, improved recovery, or greater stealth efficiency. There are also narrative side quests that delve deeper into characters and events in the world, as well as mythic tales, which reward players with special armor and unique techniques. The progression system involves collecting materials scattered across the map to upgrade weapons, armor, and equipment. Each armor set has its own characteristics, favoring different playstyles, whether direct combat, stealth, or endurance. Visual customization is extensive, allowing you to change Jin's appearance with masks, helmets, headbands, and aesthetic variations that do not affect gameplay but reinforce the character's identity. Overall, Ghost of Tsushima stands out for combining precise action, contemplative exploration, and a strong narrative, offering the player the freedom to choose how to face challenges while following Jin Sakai's transformation from a traditional samurai to a feared legend in Tsushima.
Get more backup and lock down the airspace.
You have to learn to swallow that Parker pride and accept that you're human, like the rest of us.
Marvel's Spider-Man 2 expecting speed and found balance. Swinging through the city feels effortless, almost natural. But beneath the movement, the city carries weight. Every street feels alive, crowded, reactive. You're always in motion, but never disconnected. The open world works because traversal itself is the reward. You don't fast travel because you don't want to. Spider-Man 2 understands that freedom isn't just space, it's flow. And this world flows constantly. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. This game is an open-world action-adventure played in third person, which puts the player in control of two protagonists, Peter Parker and Miles Morales. The narrative alternates between the two heroes, showing how each deals with their personal responsibilities and the threats that arise in New York. In addition to them, some parts of the story allow you to control other important characters, such as Mary Jane and Venom, in specific missions that help expand the plot and vary the gameplay. The open world is set in New York City, now larger and more detailed than in previous games. In addition to Manhattan, players can explore Brooklyn and Queens, each district with its own identity, side activities, and dynamic events. During free exploration, it is possible to switch instantly between Peter and Miles, which makes navigation more fluid and reinforces the idea that both act simultaneously to protect the city. Each Spider-Man also has dedicated missions, both in the main campaign and in optional content, that explore their unique abilities and distinct personalities. The combat system builds on the foundation established in previous titles, but with important refinements. Peter and Miles are able to dodge physical attacks, although some enemies require different approaches, because they are immune to traditional dodging. The battles combine fast melee attacks, creative use of webs, and special abilities, encouraging the player to switch between attack, mobility, and group control. Each character has their own fighting style, with animations and abilities that reinforce their differences. Moving around the city remains one of the game's highlights. The new suits introduce web wings, which allow you to glide between buildings and cover long distances at greater speed. This system can be combined with wind tunnels, which propel the character and make the journey even more dynamic and cinematic. The feeling of fluidity when moving around New York is enhanced, making exploration as engaging as combat. The use of webs has been expanded with an improved equipment wheel, offering new modifications for web shooters. These include abilities that allow you to create anchor points between structures, facilitating stealthy approaches suspended above enemies, and devices capable of pulling multiple opponents to a single location, making room for strategic eliminations. These options make combat more versatile and encourage planning before engaging in direct confrontation. Peter Parker also has a wide variety of gameplay options when he is connected to the Venom symbiote. In this form, he gains access to organic tentacles that extend his reach, strength, and control over enemies, as well as new special abilities based on both the symbiote and advanced use of the web. This mechanic adds an extra layer of power, but also influences the narrative and how the character is presented. The progression system is based on skill trees. Peter and Miles have individual trees, focused on their unique abilities, and a third shared tree, which unlocks improvements valid for both. As the player accumulates skill points by gaining experience, new combat, movement, and web-slinging techniques are unlocked, allowing them to customize their playstyle according to their preference. Overall, the game stands out for balancing a narrative centered on two heroes, a broader and more vivid open world, and gameplay that combines intense action, fluid mobility, and deep progression. Switching between Peter Parker and Miles Morales reinforces the sense of partnership and evolution, offering a complete and varied experience within the Spider-Man universe. Horizon Forbidden West and felt surrounded by scale. Everything feels massive, detailed, intentional. The world is colorful, dangerous, and deeply mechanical. Exploration feels structured, but never restrictive. You're constantly reminded that nature reclaimed everything. Machines roam like wildlife. Ruins tell stories without words. This open world isn't chaotic. It's carefully balanced. It wants you to admire it, learn it, and respect it. This game is a third-person action-adventure RPG that continues Aloy's story in a post-apocalyptic world dominated by machines. Set months after the events of the previous game, the narrative follows Aloy on a solitary journey in search of a solution to save Earth from total collapse, with humanity's ancient knowledge system lost for centuries. Her efforts to restore balance to the planet become increasingly urgent as extreme natural phenomena and new biological threats accelerate the extinction of life. The gameplay relies heavily on exploration, which is now deeper and more varied. The map is significantly larger, offering denser, more dangerous, and visually diverse regions. One of the major additions is underwater exploration, which allows the player to dive into seas, lakes, and rivers to discover ruins, secrets of the ancient world, and hidden resources. These submerged areas enhance the sense of mystery and reinforce the feeling of a world that holds stories both above and below the surface. Combat remains focused on strategic confrontations, requiring planning and adaptation. Aloy faces giant machines and human enemies, including mounted opponents, using a combination of long and short-range weapons, traps, and equipment built from parts collected from the defeated machines themselves. Each enemy has specific behaviors and weaknesses, encouraging players to study the battlefield and choose the best approach before attacking. The progression system has been expanded with the introduction of more detailed weapon upgrades. Players can now customize and upgrade their equipment at workbenches, adjusting attributes to suit their desired playstyle. Armor has also gained greater importance, not only offering protection, but unlocking unique abilities that directly influence movement, combat, and survival, making equipment choice a constant strategic decision. Missions feature a more refined structure, with a greater variety of objectives and more attractive rewards. In addition to the main campaign, there are secondary activities that deepen the world, characters, and conflicts between tribes, reinforcing the narrative aspect and offering optional challenges that reward exploration and mastery of mechanics. The reward system has been adjusted to make each mission relevant, whether in terms of story, equipment, or character development. Among the biggest new features is the ability to assemble flying machines, which completely transforms the way you explore the map. This mechanic adds a new dimension to traversal, allowing players to reach previously inaccessible areas and offering a panoramic view of the devastated world, as well as directly impacting player freedom. Overall, the game stands out for expanding on everything that came before, combining a darker narrative, deeper exploration, and more complex combat and progression systems. Aloy's journey becomes more intense and personal, while the world around her struggles to survive, creating an epic, immersive, and challenging experience on a planet on the brink of destruction. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Valhalla and felt the weight of history. The world feels heavy, emotionally and visually. Villages feel grounded. Landscapes feel harsh. Combat feels deliberate. This open world isn't about elegance. It's about endurance, about presence. You don't just pass through this land, you settle in it. You change it slowly. Valhalla feels less like exploration and more like occupation. This game is an open-world action RPG adventure set in the Viking era, placing the player in the role of Eivor, a warrior whose identity can be shaped from the outset. You can choose your gender, physical appearance, and equipment, allowing for a more personalized experience tailored to each player's playstyle. The narrative follows Eivor's journey as he leads his clan in search of a new home and power in foreign lands, balancing battles, political alliances, and personal decisions. The combat system has been redesigned to offer greater freedom. Players can use a wide variety of weapons, combining styles and experimenting with different approaches to combat. The focus is not only on level numbers, but on how skills are chosen and developed throughout the game. Instead of a traditional level-based progression system, the game features extensive skill trees, where players decide which paths to follow as Eivor gains experience. Enemies, in turn, are defined more by their abilities than by a simple level indicator, encouraging more conscious strategies in combat. The classic eagle vision returns in an adapted form, now represented by a raven, Eivor's constant companion. This animal can be used to explore the environment, identify enemies, locate objectives, and plan attacks in advance. The mechanics reinforce the importance of observation and planning, especially before invasions and large-scale confrontations, maintaining the series' tradition of offering tactical reconnaissance tools to the player. The player's choices have a real impact on the development of the story. Decisions made in dialogues or during gameplay influence relationships, political alliances, and the fate of important characters. These choices directly affect how the world reacts to Eivor and their clan, creating narrative consequences that reinforce the RPG aspect and add depth to the campaign's progression. One of the central pillars of the game is the Viking settlement that Eivor helps to build and lead. This location serves as the clan's base and grows as the player progresses through the story. The development of the settlement is directly linked to activities carried out in the open world, as resources obtained from expeditions and raids are used to construct specific buildings. Each structure offers practical benefits, such as new trade options, equipment upgrades, or access to additional missions and services, making the growth of the village a fundamental part of the gameplay. To expand and strengthen the settlement, the player must lead raids and attacks with other Vikings, participating in intense battles on land. Naval combat is also present, but with a different focus than in previous titles. Ships serve primarily as a means of rapid transport along rivers and coasts, facilitating surprise attacks and strategic retreats after land battles, rather than constant naval battles. Although it is essentially a single-player experience, the game includes light online elements designed to encourage players to share their progress, achievements, and creativity. These features do not directly interfere with the campaign, but complement the experience by reinforcing the sense of community. Overall, the game stands out for combining large-scale exploration, flexible combat, impactful narrative choices, and a progression system centered on character and clan development. Eivor's journey is not only about battles and conquests, but about leadership, identity, and building a legacy in a brutal and ever-changing world. Far Cry and chaos became the language of the world. Nothing stays calm for long. Exploration quickly turns into confrontation. Freedom exists, but it's loud and violent. The open world constantly reacts to you. Animals, enemies, explosions, everything overlaps. Far Cry doesn't ask you to slow down. It dares you to survive the noise. It's an open-world first-person shooter that combines intense action with RPG elements, offering an experience focused on freedom, survival, and character progression. Set on a hostile and unpredictable tropical island, the game places the player in an environment dominated by dangerous enemies, aggressive wildlife, and violent factions, where each confrontation can be approached in different ways. The gameplay gives the player great control over how to face challenges. It is possible to adopt a more aggressive stance, engaging in direct shootouts, or opt for a stealthy approach, exploring the surrounding environment. The cover system allows you to hide behind objects to escape the sight of enemies, observe the battlefield, and attack at the right moment. Silent attacks can be carried out from different positions, such as from above, from behind, or through careful approaches, rewarding players who plan their moves carefully. The open world is significantly larger than in previous games in the series, offering vast areas to explore, with villages, enemy camps, dense jungles, and dangerous regions. Before attacking a location, players can scout the terrain, observe alternative routes, and mark enemies using the camera, allowing them to track their movements even when they leave the field of view. This system encourages strategic planning and turns each enemy base into a small tactical puzzle. RPG elements are present through an experience system and skill trees, which allow you to unlock new abilities as you progress. These skills improve everything from combat efficiency to stealth and survival. The game also features a crafting system, where resources collected in the world can be used to create upgrades, equipment, and useful items, reinforcing the feeling of constant evolution and adaptation to the hostile environment. In addition to the main campaign, Far Cry 3 offers a competitive multiplayer mode, featuring traditional player versus player modes. One of the highlights is the cooperative campaign, which has its own story and characters, separate from the main narrative. This mode can be played online by up to 4 players, or locally with 2 players on a split screen, encouraging cooperation and teamwork. Another important feature is the map editor, a tool that allows players to create their own scenarios for multiplayer mode. These custom maps can be shared online, increasing the game's longevity and stimulating the creativity of the community. Overall, Far Cry 3 stands out for combining a vast open world, freedom of approach, skill-based progression, and multiple game modes. The experience balances intense action, stealth, and exploration, offering players multiple ways to survive and master an environment that is as beautiful as it is deadly. Batman, Arkham City, and felt trapped, intentionally. The city isn't wide, but it's dense. Every rooftop feels familiar. Every alley hides danger. Movement is fluid, controlled, precise. You're always watching, always being watched. Arkham City proves that an open world doesn't need size, it needs tension. This third-person action-adventure game puts the player back in the role of Batman, now in a much larger and more dangerous environment. Set in Arkham City, an isolated area of the city transformed into a giant open-air prison. The game expands on the ideas of the previous title, and offers more freedom of exploration, while maintaining the dark atmosphere and identity of the Dark Knight. The gameplay follows the previously established foundation, combining fluid combat, stealth, and investigation. During exploration, Batman has new equipment at his disposal, such as smoke bombs, which allow him to escape or confuse enemies, and devices capable of detecting transmission signals, useful for locating targets and clues hidden throughout the map. The classic detective vision remains an essential tool, allowing you to identify enemies, analyze the environment, and plan approaches more accurately before engaging in combat. The combat system emphasizes controlling the pace of fights, encouraging the use of combo moves, counterattacks, and gadgets to dominate groups of enemies. Stealth stands out in closed areas and elevated zones, where the player can silently eliminate opponents, using fear as their main weapon. This combination of action and strategy reinforces the feeling that the player is always a few steps ahead of the criminals. The game features a larger cast of villains, making the narrative and side missions more varied. Iconic characters such as Catwoman and Two-Face play important roles, bringing their own stories and specific challenges. Each villain contributes to the chaotic atmosphere of Arkham City, transforming the environment into an unpredictable territory dominated by different criminal factions. One of the highlights of the game is the striking presence of the Riddler. Unlike the main campaign, his missions function almost like a separate game. The villain spreads traps and complex puzzles throughout the city, often involving hostages who need to be rescued. Each challenge solved can lead to even more elaborate clues, some protected by traps of their own, requiring reasoning, attention, and mastery of Batman's equipment. These missions are not mandatory, but they offer great extra depth for those who want to explore everything the game has to offer. Exploration of Arkham City is more open and dynamic than before, allowing the player to traverse different districts using the grappling hook, gliding, and gadgets. The map encourages both story progression and the search for side activities, secrets, and optional challenges. When adding the main campaign to the side missions, the total playing time can reach around 40 hours, depending on the level of exploration and involvement with the extra content. Overall, the game stands out for expanding on the series' established formula, offering a larger world, more villains, new gadgets, and creative side missions. The experience balances action, investigation, and exploration, cementing Arkham City as one of the richest and most memorable settings in Batman's journey. Fallout 4 and learned that emptiness tells stories. Ruins speak louder than NPCs. The world feels broken, but strangely alive. Dark humor mixes with constant danger. Exploration feels lonely. Every discovery feels earned. Fallout's open world isn't beautiful. It's honest about collapse. Fallout 4 is an open-world action RPG set in a post-apocalyptic future, where the player explores a vast region devastated by nuclear war. The experience maintains the foundation presented in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, but significantly expands the combat, crafting, and progression systems, offering more freedom to shape the character and the world around them. The game can be played in either first or third person, allowing you to switch perspectives as you prefer. Exploration is completely free, encouraging you to search through ruins, abandoned cities, and underground facilities. Discovered locations can be quickly accessed via fast travel, except in the highest difficulty mode, which prioritizes survival and immersion. During the journey, the player faces classic enemies from the series, such as looters, mutant creatures, and iconic monsters, as well as receiving help from companions, including the inseparable Dogmeat. Combat has received significant improvements, with a more refined and responsive weapon system. There is a wide variety of weapons, all highly customizable, allowing you to change components such as barrels, receivers, sights, and special accessories. These modifications directly affect the performance of the weapons, adapting them to different playstyles. Power armor has been redesigned to function almost like vehicles. It requires a power source to operate fully, can be customized piece by piece, and offers advanced options such as thrusters and different types of armor. One of the game's biggest differentiators is its crafting system, which makes use of virtually every object found in the world. Players can dismantle scrap, weapons, and structures to obtain materials, which are used both in the manufacture of equipment and in the construction of settlements. These settlements function as manageable cities, where it is possible to erect buildings, install electrical systems, grow food, supply water, and build defenses against attacks. NPCs can live in these locations, work, trade, and react to the conditions offered, influencing a happiness meter that reflects the well-being of the community. The game's central interface is the Pip-Boy, a wrist computer that provides access to maps, statistics, inventory, and records. It also allows you to play collectible holotapes, mini-games, and files found during exploration. The Pip-Boy also gained an optional app for mobile devices, allowing you to interact with its menus and content outside of the main game, enhancing immersion. The VAT system returns with important changes. Instead of completely pausing the action, time is slowed down, allowing you to select specific parts of enemies' bodies for strategic attacks. Each action consumes action points, limiting continuous use of the system. Critical hits now depend on the player's choice, adding more control and strategy to confrontations. Different weapons and modifications influence the cost of actions within VATs, making equipment preparation even more relevant. Character progression is based on the special system, consisting of 7 attributes that define the protagonist's style. When leveling up, the player chooses perks that improve skills and unlock new possibilities for combat, crafting, dialogue, and survival. This system is extremely deep, with hundreds of perks available and a virtually non-existent level cap, allowing for continuous evolution even after the main story ends. Companions play an important role in the journey. Each has their own personality, can help with specific tasks, and reacts to the player's decisions, developing an affinity system. As this relationship evolves, the companion can grant unique bonuses and even develop deeper bonds with the protagonist. However, actions contrary to their values can lead to conflict or even the definitive breakdown of the partnership. Overall, Fallout 4 stands out for offering a vast and reactive world, deep customization systems, and almost total freedom for the player to define their path. The combination of exploration, strategic combat, settlement building, and character choices creates a long, immersive, and highly replayable experience in a post-apocalyptic setting full of stories to discover.
All of you will die!
Can we trust you? I don't see you have any choice.
If this is a tropical paradise, so far it ain't up to much.
Red Dead Redemption 2, and time slowed down. The world doesn't rush you, it waits. Characters feel human, animals feel real. Silence feels intentional. This isn't just an open world, it's a living one. You don't play it for objectives, you live in it. Red Dead Redemption 2 is an open-world action-adventure game with a strong Western theme set in 1899, at the end of the Old West era and the transition to the 20th century. The player can freely switch between first and third person, experiencing a fictional version of the United States that blends regions of the West, Midwest, and South. The experience is primarily focused on single-player mode, although there is also a separate online component, Red Dead Online. For most of the campaign, the player takes on the role of Arthur Morgan, an outlaw and member of the Van der Linde gang. The narrative follows the decline of the outlaw lifestyle in the face of advancing civilization and law. The main missions are structured with defined objectives. But outside of them, the world is completely open, allowing you to explore freely, interact with characters, and create your own stories. In the epilogue, control passes to John Marston, directly connecting the events of this game to the previous title in the series. The open world is vast, detailed, and extremely lively, consisting of forests, mountains, swamps, deserts, farms, villages, and large cities. During exploration, the player encounters travelers, criminals, wild animals, and dynamic events that occur organically. Ambushes, requests for help, crimes in progress, animal attacks, and public executions can arise at any moment, and the decision to intervene or ignore these situations directly influences the character's experience and development. Combat allows for multiple approaches, including hand-to-hand combat, shootouts, the use of explosives, and long-range weapons such as bows. The system has been improved from the previous game, introducing mechanics such as dual wielding and a greater variety of weapons. The player can hide behind cover, aim freely, and hit specific parts of the body of enemies or animals, directly affecting their reactions. The animations and artificial intelligence react realistically to the location of the shots, making each confrontation more intense and immersive. The classic Deadeye mechanic returns, allowing you to slow down time and mark targets before firing quickly. As the player progresses, this ability evolves, offering new advantages, such as identifying enemies' vital points. Constant use of certain types of weapons also improves the character's proficiency, reducing recoil and increasing combat efficiency. Weapons suffer degradation, requiring cleaning and maintenance to maintain optimal performance. Horses are the primary means of transportation and play a central role in gameplay. There are several breeds, each with its own attributes, such as speed, endurance, and handling. Players can tame wild horses, care for them, feed them, and clean them, creating a bond that improves performance while riding. In addition to horses, carriages and trains can be used for travel, and players can even rob them, stealing passengers or cargo. The game offers a wide variety of side activities, including duels, bounty hunting, treasure hunting, card games such as poker and blackjack, as well as collection challenges scattered across the map. Hunting is very important, requiring attention to the type of weapon, the location of the shot, and the condition of the carcass, as these factors affect the value of the meat and hides. Slaughtered animals can be skinned on the spot or transported, but they deteriorate over time and attract predators. The narrative is heavily influenced by the player's choices, especially through the honor system. Helping strangers, respecting the law, and acting with mercy increase honor, while crimes, theft, and violence against innocents reduce it. The honor level affects dialogues, narrative outcomes, and even rewards, such as discounts in stores or exclusive clothing. Interestingly, low honor also has specific advantages, such as obtaining more items when looting enemies. The character's survival is another central element. Arthur and John have health and stamina attributes, as well as cores that determine the speed at which these attributes regenerate. Factors such as food, sleep, hygiene, weather-appropriate clothing, and even body weight directly influence performance. The character can gain or lose weight depending on their habits, affecting stamina and damage absorption. Hair and beards grow over time, and players can take care of their appearance at barbershops and public baths. The reward and wanted system returns with depth. Crimes attract witnesses, who can alert the authorities if not stopped. As the severity of the crimes increases, law enforcement, bounty hunters, and even marshals begin to pursue the player. Each region reacts differently to crimes, becoming more vigilant as the criminal history grows. To get rid of the bounty, the player must pay their debt at a post office, reinforcing the weight of the consequences. Overall, Red Dead Redemption 2 stands out for offering an extremely immersive and detailed experience, where narrative, gameplay, and open world intertwine naturally. The game is not limited to telling a story, but allows the player to live it, making moral decisions, exploring a world full of life, and witnessing the end of an era through the eyes of an outlaw in search of redemption.
It's a city of dreams, and I'm a big dreamer.
Cyberpunk 2077 and felt overwhelmed, visually and emotionally. The city never stops moving. Neon lights hide loneliness. Crowds don't mean connection. The open world feels dense, vertical, aggressive. It wants your attention at all times. Cyberpunk's world is alive, but rarely peaceful, is a first-person action RPG set in a dystopian future where technology, power, and inequality shape every aspect of society. The player takes on the role of V, a mercenary who can be completely customized, from physical appearance and voice to background story, play style, and cybernetic implants. This customization is not just aesthetic, but directly influences how the player interacts with the world and faces its challenges. The progression system is based on attributes such as body, intelligence, reflexes, technical skill, and morale, which define different playstyles. It is possible to follow paths more focused on hacking and digital invasions, direct and violent combat, or advanced use of technology and engineering. Skills are distributed in an extensive tree, which allows specialization in firearms, hand-to-hand combat, stealth, silent assassinations, athletics, engineering, and mind control, giving you complete freedom to create unique builds. One of the game's highlights is the use of cyberware, technological implants that enhance the human body. These upgrades are purchased from specialized doctors and can drastically alter gameplay, offering advantages such as double jumps, superhuman reflexes, special vision, and advanced combat skills. Weapons and equipment also have rarity levels and can be modified, upgraded, and customized as the player progresses. The combat mixes intense action with strategic elements. There are different types of long-range weapons, each with its own characteristics, as well as options for close combat. Enemies can be faced aggressively or completely stealthily, and the game allows you to complete the entire story without killing anyone, offering non-lethal alternatives and more ethical or silent approaches. The story takes place in Night City, a gigantic and lively metropolis, divided into very distinct districts, each with its own social, cultural, and economic identity. From areas dominated by corporations to abandoned regions controlled by gangs, the city can be explored on foot or in vehicles, with the option of first or third-person camera views. Beyond the city, players can also explore desert areas known as the Wastelands. The world constantly reacts to the player's actions. Crimes can attract the attention of the police. NPCs follow their own routines influenced by the weather and the day and night cycle, and radios scattered throughout the city help build the atmosphere. V has an apartment, a garage, and interacts with characters from different cultures and languages, which can be translated with specific implants. Another important element is Brain Dance, a technology that allows you to relive other people's memories and experiences, functioning both as a narrative tool and an investigative mechanic. Missions are offered by intermediaries known as fixers, and vary between the main story and various side activities, which earn you money, reputation, and access to new content. The decisions made throughout the journey directly influence the unfolding of the narrative and lead to different endings. Cyberpunk 2077 does not punish the player with the traditional game over. Failing missions does not interrupt progress, reinforcing the idea of a world that keeps moving, regardless of the choices made. Ultimately, Cyberpunk 2077 is an experience about identity, ambition, and survival in a future where the line between human and machine is increasingly blurred, offering players almost total freedom to shape their own story in Night City.
Betrayal and vengeance. Science and mind control.
Such a relatable interest.
Tyranny. Guilty. And math. At the center of it all is you.
The Outer Worlds 2 and felt satire everywhere. The world exaggerates reality on purpose. Exploration feels compact but meaningful. Choices shape how you're treated. This open world focuses less on size and more on consequences. It's playful but critical, funny but uncomfortable. The Outer Worlds 2 is an action RPG developed by Obsidian Entertainment that expands on everything the first game had to offer, with more refined combat, greater freedom of choice, and a narrative heavily marked by satire on capitalism and large corporations. Set in a new star system, the game features an unprecedented cast of characters, factions, and conflicts, allowing the player to explore a sci-fi universe full of acid humor, moral decisions, and real consequences. The game can be played in both first and third person, offering total freedom of perspective. The first-person view remains the most polished and immersive, but the inclusion of the third-person camera is an important new feature, especially for those who prefer to follow their character in combat and exploration. Movement has been adjusted to be more agile and responsive, reinforcing the greater focus on action compared to the previous title. Combat is one of the central pillars of The Outer Worlds 2. Players can use a wide variety of firearms and melee weapons, as well as armor and equipment with different styles. The system is designed to be more dynamic and varied, encouraging different approaches depending on the chosen build. Although movement may seem a little stiff at first, combat becomes increasingly engaging as new skills and equipment are unlocked. Like a real RPG, the game places great importance on skills and specializations. There are 12 skills divided into 4 broad categories: combat, stealth, science, engineering, and social. These choices not only affect performance in battle, but also alter dialogues, mission resolutions, and how the world reacts to the player. It is possible to resolve conflicts through force, intelligence, social manipulation, or even avoid combat altogether, depending on the decisions made. Companions return with a deeper and more refined system. Each ally has unique skills that can be improved throughout the story, especially when completing their personal missions. These characters not only serve as combat support, but also influence conversations, narrative decisions, and the overall tone of the journey, reinforcing Obsidian's signature narrative style. Exploration takes place in semi-open areas scattered throughout the new star system, including cities, corporate facilities, natural regions, and caves. The game encourages careful exploration, interaction with NPCs, and the discovery of side stories that enrich the universe. The player's choices shape the unfolding of the campaign, which can last between 25 and 50 hours, depending on involvement with side quests and optional content. Visually, The Outer Worlds 2 features improved graphics, with more detailed environments, more expressive characters, and a more vibrant world. The satirical tone remains one of the game's highlights, using humor and exaggeration to criticize corporations, propaganda, and power systems, all of which are naturally integrated into the narrative and gameplay. Ultimately, The Outer Worlds 2 presents itself as an action RPG that balances combat, narrative, and choices with real freedom for the player to shape their own experience. It is a game that rewards creativity, conscious decisions, and different play styles, offering a sci-fi adventure rich in personality, humor, and consequences. What did you think of the video? Which game is your favorite? Leave your suggestions in the comments. Thank you.